Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
And this is Jack from Emails That Sell.
Episode 17, the right way to run a cold email A-B test.
Today we're going to learn about what is A-B testing and why it's essential for your cold emails, even if you're getting more replies than you can handle. The right way to compare A-B testing results, and finally, how to approach A-B testing if you want to quickly improve your positive reply rate every week.
Hey, Jack, so could you give us like a definition of what's A-B testing for cold email?
An A-B test is simply comparing the effectiveness of one email against another.
How do you determine which one is better than the other, or which one performed better than the other?
Unfortunately, a lot of folks will take a look at the reply rate from one email to the next. But that doesn't tell you half the story because you're not taking into account the number of people who may have opened one variation and the next, or the number of people who may have replied positively versus I'm not interested or negatively. So instead, it's best to look at the adjusted positive reply rate, which essentially factors out everyone who did not open the message and every reply that is not positive. So it sounds complicated, but luckily in the show notes, there's a formula that will help you determine your exact adjusted positive reply rate. Just plug in the numbers and you'll get the number you need.
Is there anything I should keep in mind when I'm running my first A-B test? Let's say I'm ready right now. Any pitfall I should avoid, or what should I consider when I'm starting?
First off, you need to run an A-B test with quite a few prospects in order to get results that you can trust. So start with at least 100 and work yourself up. But something to keep in mind is if you're waiting until you have thousands of prospects that you can use in your A-B test, there's probably a good chance that you're better off segmenting that list and crafting different messages for that audience instead of using that to just run a big A-B test. There's sort of a fine line here between having a defined segment to contact and enough prospects that you can get some real numbers that you can use. And Jeremy, I'm curious from your experience with QuickMail, you've probably seen quite a few A-B tests that have succeeded and some that have failed. Are there any takeaways that you've seen from QuickMail that you can share today?
Yeah, I mean, I really love some user who actually have try every week or every month different A-B testing in order to get different results. But what I'm super interested about when it comes to A-B testing is it's for a different reason that have nothing to do with reply rate, but it's more for deliverability standpoint. So if you have different variations, then there is less of a chance that spam filter will say, hey, I've seen this email already. Let me flag it as spam. It's like a bulk email sender kind of thing.
So talking about having varied messages improve deliverability, this is a good place to talk about the content of your A-B test variations. Unlike testing a landing page, for example, where you might run a test with a new headline, cold email A-B tests are different. You wouldn't run an A-B test that tries out a new subject line, for example, because Jeremy and I have crunched some numbers and determined that changing subject lines don't really boost or impact your open rates a whole lot, if at all. And the same thing goes with your body of the email. The body should be drastically different than what was in that first A variation for two reasons. One, just like Jeremy said, different content is going to help out your deliverability. But most importantly, judging on what A-B tests have dramatically improved positive adjusted reply rates, time and again, it's the emails that have wildly different benefits included and a completely different value proposition, because the point is you just don't know which offer is going to get your list excited the most. So it's important to make big changes with your B or C variations.
Can you give us some example of concrete big differences you're talking about? So I presume you're not talking about like changing do you have 7 minutes by, do you have half an hour to talk, or those sort of things? You're looking for bigger changes. Could you give us some examples so the audience can relate or understand?
Sure. So the simplest example would be to change the benefit that you're offering in your email. But I suggest taking that a step further, where in your variation email, you're presenting a different benefit and a different value proposition, as well as a unique call to action. So as an example, maybe your first message is talking about your software that saves time, and the call to action or value proposition could be, I'd love to share how this might be able to help your company save 2 hours each week. Are you free for a quick phone call sometime this month? The B variation could be drastically different, where instead of talking about the benefit of saving time, you could mention that it has been shown by companies using it today to increase sales by 20%, and you would like to offer 2 free months. All they'd have to do is just reply and you get them set up. So you can see they're just 2 different angles that you're approaching the prospects with, and one of them is going to be more intriguing than the other.
How many emails should I actually write different? Do I need, maybe I don't have an idea for 10 different, radically different emails. So how many do you recommend I should try with?
If you're going drastically different when you sit down to write your B variations, you actually don't need to write that many variations per touch. Typically between 2 and 3 variations per touch or per step is all you need. And in fact, it's actually a bad idea to go far beyond that, because the more variations you add, the more prospects that you're going to have to send that campaign to, or that sequence to, in order to get results that you can trust, just because you're spreading out the test so thin.
Got it. Is there any pitfall that I should be mindful when it comes to A/B testing with cold email?
A major A/B test pitfall that comes to mind is not using the same list for your variations or for your tests, because as soon as you send to a different list, everything goes out the window, because list is a crucial element to the reply rate you should expect, both positive and negative. So make sure that you're drawing from that same list of prospects as you send out your test variants.
So that was cool. So here are 3 things that I learned today. First, we should always use A/B testing to get better reply rate, but also to improve email deliverability. The second thing I learned is we should go crazy on different variations to write if we want to quickly improve our reply rate, but limit ourselves to just a few variations per step. And the third thing is the only metric that counts for comparing A/B test results is the adjusted positive reply rate. And you can find how to do that in the show notes of this episode.